think we've been pretty out in front. Now, I know that we're just the two hacks on YouTube.
Right. Yeah.
Jake, we're just a couple of hacks on YouTube. We don't know anything that we're talking about here.
Right. Yeah.
And as it was pointed out to us, what did they say? A dog or a squirrel finds a nut once in a while. Hey, you know
the
what?
Clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, that's us, man. We just, but never mind on March 3rd that we told you that Gonzaga had a verbal invite from the Big 12 to join the conference. And then today, Ross Dellinger at Sports Illustrated reported that, lo and behold, that the Big 12 is ready to invite Gonzaga basketball into the conference. Never mind that we've told you for 3-4 months now that the Big 12 is planning on creating a unique and exclusive revenue stream, splitting off their basketball as a wholly different and self-contained entity that would become a revenue stream for the conference. Never mind that today CBS Sports is reporting that that is exactly what the Big 12's intent is. Folks, when you want the best and the brightest from the Big 12 and the Pac-12, you come to the Monty Show. But let's get specific about Gonzaga because I think it is incredibly important for the Big 12. And we've talked about it at length on this show. Gonzaga basketball, in my opinion, for the Big 12, and our sources have told us, is the crown jewel of Big 12 expansion because Gonzaga allows the Big 12 to expand its footprint into the Pacific Northwest, but it also allows the Big 12 to strengthen its reach significantly in basketball and basketball recruiting. It's not only in the United States of America. I am told Gonzaga represents a significant international reach for college basketball, which I think they have a history of. They are well known. They are a global brand when it comes to basketball. This is a big, big move. And we could talk about all these different teams, Jake, in the Pac-12 and the Colorados and the Coach Primes. But my opinion and opinion of sources that we've spoken to, Gonzaga is the crown jewel of Big 12 expansion.
Yeah, and I think there's a few reasons for that. I think, number one, they're in the Pacific time zone. So Brett Yormark has talked all about how, he one of his major goals as commissioner of the Big 12 is to expand the conference into the Pacific time zone. And why is that? Why is that relevant? Why does that matter? I think it's kind of a gold rush right now, honestly. You're looking at the Big 10 adding, two teams in Southern California in USC and UCLA. And if you're any of these other conferences, right, like the Big 12, the SEC, let's say, even the ACC, like as soon as a conference like the Big 10 expands into the Pacific time zone, you got to look at your options. And I think because the Big 12 is so dominant in basketball, adding a school like Gonzaga that is basketball only, if you will, they don't have a football team, I think makes a lot of sense. But I think one thing that a lot of people aren't talking about is the fact that when they add Gonzaga, it's not just going to be the basketball team going into the conference. You have to remember they're adding all sports at Gonzaga. So whether it's the baseball team, the swimming team, whatever, every sport that Gonzaga runs out there will be in the Big 12. So people like to say, hey, well, there's no way that this could be true because, Gonzaga doesn't play football. But what I'm telling you is other sports that they run out there are going to be included in this. And I think that's why it makes a lot of sense because from a scheduling standpoint, Gonzaga continues to help you with flexibility. They continue to help you schedule all these different sports. So to me, that's why I think Gonzaga is really attractive because, again, they're an easy add. They bolster your basketball conference, and we've heard all these commissioners, right? Whether it's the commissioner of the Mountain West, whether it's Brett Yormark, even George Kliavkoff, has mentioned it in the past, making money off of playoff time in college athletics, whether it is the college football playoff or the tournament or, whatever scenario you want to look at, making money in that time of year is crucial. And it's no secret that Gonzaga has been a tournament team basically every single year. Now, does that change going into a dominant basketball conference like the Big 12? I don't think so. I think they're plenty good enough in basketball to compete in the Big 12. But the point is that if you can add more dollars to your conference that way, why would you not do that? So to me, that's why I think Gonzaga is just such a natural fit. And again, we had this for you March 3rd. Like, this is not something new. This isn't like, don't be fooled. This isn't like some, new like on the edge reporting that, hey, they find Gonzaga attractive. We've had this story for a long time now. So for me, I just look at this and I say, hey, Gonzaga is an easy fit. Like, it just makes sense. But I look around and I look at Colorado. I look at some of these other schools in the Pac-12, and I think this is kind of the thing that really is going to start to get crazy. When you look at Colorado and you look at what they did with the spring game and all the revenue that came in, like, Colorado's making money now and they haven't even like played a football game yet.
Right.
Like, that to me, if I'm Brett Yormark, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, holy cow, like, we have a cash flow of a school building and growing. Why would I not want to add that into my conference yet again? Like, that makes perfect sense.
And I also think there is something here to be said about the ever-changing face of college athletics. And I think when you look at the grant of rights model, we've heard repeatedly for months and months and months that grant of rights are probably going away into the future. There is a real difficult situation presenting itself in the ACC, and this assumption that the ACC is going to crumble. And well, I don't think it's going to crumble for a long time because, one, they're making good money, so no school in the ACC is going to be insolvent. But the greater issue is, why would the ACC fall apart? And how are you going to get enough teams to say, hey, we want out to blow up that grant of rights? I think that is a very difficult hill to climb. So if you are the Big 12 and you've just entered into this new TV deal, I think this past round with the Big 10 and the Big 12, I think these are the last great TV deals that you're going to see. And again, I understand the money that is being made in the Big 12. I don't see a way that you're not going to get to $40-50 million, as we've been telling you for months, that the Big 12 per school is looking at somewhere between $45 and $55 million per school per season when all of the nets are totaled. Because you're looking at a dominant basketball program. You're looking at championship caliber football, now with an expanded playoff. That schools in the Big 12 are going to have a much more available seat at the table. The money is flowing through the Big 12, but it's not flowing because of their TV deal. It's a part of it. But as we've talked about, Brett Yormark's grand plan is, hey, we can no longer rely on our media deal, so we are going to rely on ourselves. We are going to create a basketball conference that we can make a wholly owned entity and revenue stream out of. We are going to go to Rucker Park. We are going to take our product and we are going to reach into Mexico. Gonzaga is going to be a part of reaching into Europe. You're going to see that he is going to continue to grow these footprints. And I think he's absolutely the business model. And I understand that we're the truck stop show, and I get it that we're homers and
right.
But say what you want to say. Find me somebody who is operating their college sports business at a higher level right now than Brett Yormark in the Big 12. Because if he truly pulls off this coup with Gonzaga, because it is a coup, there's not a conference in the country that today would not add Gonzaga to their portfolio.
I like Gonzaga.
There's not one, and you can name the ACC, the SEC, you name the conference, they would add them. The Pac-12, I think, would stack dead bodies on top of each other to reach the heights of Gonzaga basketball in a conference, by the way, who's going to lose one of its crown jewel basketball teams. USC, for however you slice it, could arguably be the best team in Pac-12 basketball this coming season, and they're going to the Big Ten. I just don't know how else you say it other than to say Gonzaga is the crown jewel of Big 12 expansion. It's a must-have, and as we told you first on March 3rd, Gonzaga basketball has a verbal invite, and we are told as recently as this afternoon that they are simply working out the logistics with Gonzaga basketball. I think the much grander question is what happens with Colorado, and how do you, if you are the Big 12, how do you get this group of schools? And I know everybody loves to throw out, well, it's the four corner schools. I'm telling you, four corner schools don't exist. When you look at the Big 12 and expansion, they're not like, well, we've got to have the four corner schools. Look at Dude, they're looking for 6 teams. We've told you this all along. The Big 12's not looking for 4 teams. The Big 12 is looking for 6 teams that deliver them all 4 time zones, that allow them to have reach, because that's what the game in the Big 12 is. Everybody else in the Pac-12, they're playing checkers and they're looking for big paydays. What Brett Yormark understands, and why this whole theory of, it's the 4 corners. It's not the 4 corners. It is the 6 teams that give the Big 12 the largest reach, not the biggest payday, the largest reach, the most fans in the most geographic areas where more people are going to watch TV. And why is that? Because that's where the dollar figure comes from. So you can go and chase your money in the Pac-12. What the Big 12 is looking for is reach. They want more homes. They want more geography. That's why the 4th time zone, everybody seems to forget this part, right? Like Brett Yormark has openly talked about the fact that he wants 4 time zones. He's got it with West Virginia. He's certainly got the Central time zone. He's certainly got the Mountain time zone. But what's the one time zone he doesn't have? He doesn't have the Pacific time zone. Does Arizona State, and let's say Colorado and Utah, the 4 corner schools, does that deliver him the Pacific time zone? No, it does not. Now, some of the year Arizona does, but most of the year they do not. So you've got to find somebody in the Pacific time zone. And I keep telling you, again, heard it over the weekend, keep an eye on Oregon State. They're everything that the Big 12 is looking for. Power football, competitive basketball. They bring you the 4th time zone. They have exquisite football facilities. They are investing in humans. They are investing in infrastructure. Oregon State is a great match. You know who's not a great match? San Diego State, SMU, Fresno State, because there's no payday in those schools. And I love the fact that everybody's been talking about, paydays and pro ratas. Do people have no idea what a pro rata is? Like, there was a report that came out that lit Twitter on fire today about how Fox is not willing to pay. Do you understand that the Big 12's TV deal guarantees a payday for anybody that's a P5 member, a P5 school? San Diego State is a G5 school. So when you look at Gonzaga, for instance, G5 school, we told you back in March, Fox Sports has agreed to pay to bring Gonzaga into the Big 12. Now, why is that? Because it brings exponentially more viewers to a basketball game when Gonzaga is involved.
Gonzaga.
Period, point blank. It makes sense. Ask yourself this. Why would ESPN spend a penny more to bring in San Diego State? Because they've already got the geography that you need, right? They already have that Pacific time zone if they bring in Oregon State. So ask yourself, we're a football entity. ESPN has valued college football far more than basketball. College basketball valued by Fox Sports, we know that, right? College football valued by ESPN. You already know that Brett Yormark has a very strong relationship across all of his media rights partners. ESPN's paying for football. That's what ESPN's paying for. So when you look at Oregon State, P5, they're going to pay for them. When they look at Utah, Colorado, the Arizonas, they're going to pay for them because they're all P5 members. The one question is Gonzaga. And as we told you all the way back in March, Fox Sports has agreed to pay a certain sum. I am not ready because sources have not confirmed to me that it's a full share, but they are ready to pay more money to bring Gonzaga in, who's a WCC member who no matter where they go, they're going to get a significant raise. But I am told that Fox Sports has agreed to pay significantly more money to bring in Gonzaga than they are already paying. I think it makes perfect sense. But this idea that people, want to talk about how ESPN's not willing to pay, the pro rata is not negotiable. It's not something where they're like, but it's Oregon State. That's not how it works. The pro rata specifically says, according to our sources in the TV industry, if you bring in a P5 member as a new member to your league, we will pay a full share to bring them in. They will pay their full share. Now, but I would also remind you, that ESPN isn't paying $31.7 million a year to Big 12 schools. So when you understand and you've actually read the TV deal the way we have, we understand the structure of that TV deal is not, hey, ESPN pays everybody $31.7 million. They have their part of that $31.7 million, which I believe is $26 million. So I believe they're willing to pay $26 million to bring in Oregon State. They're willing to pay, that's their share of the TV money. So I would caution you against people who don't know what a pro rata is. I would caution you against people who don't know that the Big 12 has been working and molding and building a business model where one revenue stream is basketball and another revenue stream is football, and they are two different business operations. They are business departments.
And I think what's really fascinating is, where have we heard this before too? This whole concept of different segments under one roof, basically. Well, we've heard this concept at ESPN, right? So like, you know that TV partners are doing this, where it's like, okay, hey, Disney is the umbrella parent company, right? Owns all these different segments. ESPN is just one, what's called a vertical, right? You have one vertical here. And so when you look at the Big 12, what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, okay, hey, football is one vertical. We've got corporate sponsors all up and down football.
That's right.
But then basketball is going to be another one, which is why we're going to Rucker Park and we're trying to do, Mexico and like all these different things. But again, if you really take the time to think about Gonzaga, it makes perfect sense, right? I would be a little surprised if they got just a full-on equal share. I would be a little surprised by that, but I wouldn't be at all surprised that a TV partner would say to Brett Yormark in the Big 12, yeah, definitely, we would be willing to pay more for Gonzaga because they're relevant. If you put them on TV, we know here at Fox, here at ESPN, wherever, whatever the TV partner is, we know that people are going to tune in for that, so we can justify paying more money for this particular team. San Diego State doesn't do that. SMU doesn't do that, right? Like Tulane doesn't do that. Any of these random schools in expansion, Fresno State doesn't do that. Gonzaga does that, though, so the TV partner is going to pay for that. But I think people get tripped up on the pro rata because they want to say, oh, man, well, dude, like Gonzaga's not a P5, so how could they possibly get more money? Everything's negotiable to a certain point. So if TV partner's willing to come to the middle a little bit, you can get things done. But guess what? A commissioner that knows how to operate is going to increase your odds of your TV partner coming to the middle as well. So if a TV partner trusts that Brett Yormark is giving them a good deal and is working with them in good faith and knows how to make money and can run the conference, up and to the right instead of down and to the left like someone in the Pac-12,
right,
they're going to be more willing to come to the table and have those conversations. And that's part of the reason why I think the Pac-12 is really struggling here, because nobody trusts a commissioner that's not allowed to do media availability. Nobody's going to trust a guy that really isn't good at doing business. Like that's just simple logic. Like, you wouldn't do that. So that's why I say the Gonzaga angle is not complicated. It just really is not that complicated. And you look around, you look at, again, this whole four corner schools concept or any of the other examples, just apply logic to it, and it pretty much pans out that the Big 12 is going to add schools. Like, it's just not rocket science.
Yeah, and I truly believe that the unknown is what is terrifying to people. And I again just tell you, there is no doubt in my mind whatsoever that these schools in the Pac-12 want to stay in the Pac-12. And I think when you look at the history of George Kliavkoff and the things that he has said, I think he makes it very difficult, very, very difficult to buy into this idea that the Pac-12 knows what it's doing or is competent. Because I take you all the way back to his statements on, hey, our team's leaving, for the Big Ten or any other teams, George. And this is September, I believe it's September, from the Canzano-Wilner podcast, where George Kliavkoff said he's guaranteeing No other teams are going to the Big Ten.
Does that mean you are confident that there will be no schools leaving for the Big Ten?
Listen, I think if schools would have left for the Big Ten, they would have left for the Big Ten already. And also what I will tell you is I'm very focused on things that are in my control. Things that are not within my control, I find no value in spending time on.
That's so bad to me.
So wait,
Like, what do you mean it's not in your control?
teams leaving your conference because you can't put together a good TV deal as a commissioner, right?
Crazy.
Right? Because again, the commissioner's job here is essentially, in broad terms, to make money for the conference and keep the conference in good health in a variety of different categories. But right now, obviously, it's been the TV deal. So what do you mean it's not in your control? What do you mean that you don't put time, effort, and energy into things that are not in your control? Because it seems like to me, this is very much in your control, George.
But I also go back to what he told Canzano and Wilner about back of the envelope calculations.
We think it creates hardship for the families of UCLA student athletes and the UCLA alumni who want to attend conference games. We've kind of done back of the envelope calculations on the negative impact on UCLA expenses, travel expenses, and just expenses for coaches' salaries and other things, just to get to the average Big Ten athletic budget. And we think that the incremental money they're going to receive from the Big Ten media rights deal will be more than 100% offset by additional expenses. So you end up taking that money that you earn and it goes to airline and charter companies and coaches and administrators. It doesn't go to supporting the student athletes. And obviously there's the negative impact on Cal Berkeley that the Cal Regents, I'm sure, will take into account when they're considering this. But again, outside our control, that will be a decision of the Regents.
And the harsh reality that is setting in across the Pac-12, I think George Kliavkoff played a major part in that. And I think George Kliavkoff, from what I understand, has never been able to deliver on promises. He is that guy that overpromises and underdelivers. Hey, we're going to make sure that UCLA doesn't leave the league. They leave the league. Back of the envelope calculations. Our calculations say they're going to lose money. Well, in the end, it didn't turn out that way. Well,
Back of the envelope calculations.
Yeah, nobody wants. There's not a fan that I've talked to, and I've talked to hundreds. None of them want UCLA to leave. A real study was commissioned, and I don't remember the percentage, but overwhelmingly it was in the 80s and 90s that USC and UCLA fans both wanted to be in the Big Ten. Like, he's never been able to deliver on that. And you have media members that are just, taking every inch of George Kliavkoff and being like, absolutely, you're our guy. We're getting $50 million. And he's never been able to deliver half of that, $25 million. Because again, as we reported on this show back to early December, $25 million is a number. If you get $25 million, I think 9 out of 10 of these universities will stay in the Pac-12. I think you get $24.99 million, I think you're losing half the league. I think anything under $25 million, you're going to lose half the league. Mm-hmm. And the other issue is you're in a position now where you can see the roadmap for the Big 12 to absolutely pull away now from the Pac-12. You add Gonzaga, it gives you the Pacific time zone. It gives you a basketball powerhouse. It gives you a business unit for college basketball. Like all the things that we've talked about for months and months and months. Folks, it's June. Man, we're past Memorial Day. It's May 30th. May 30th. We've been telling you for 6 months now that George is not going to be able to deliver the number. And we still haven't gotten a Pac-12 TV deal. And you can say, oh, well, we're just exploring. You're not exploring anymore. You're not. Like, our sources have told us that, quote unquote, a harsh reality is setting in the Pac-12, which is why when you look at the situation with Colorado, they're absolutely and have been talking to the Big 12. We told you, you'll remember that controversy with Rick George, the athletic director, several months ago, where you had the Twitter account, the bot account allegedly tweeting that the next day they were going to vote. And the next day there wasn't even a meeting. And the next meeting was executive session only. And to vote on an issue, you would have to involve a public comment period. But what have we been telling you consistently? Colorado, the Arizona schools, Utah. I mean, these schools are having real formational conversations with the Big 12 and have been for the better part of 6 months.
What choice do they have?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's what they should be doing. And again, I go back to Colorado because I think when you look at Colorado's situation and everybody who shouted us down and, hey, you guys don't know what you're talking about, you're damn right the tail feathers up a little bit today. You know why? Because you listen to the words of Rick George. Rick George essentially says exactly what we've been telling you for 6 months.
We're members of the Pac-12. We're proud members of the Pac-12, and we've got to see where our media rights deal lands and where our conference goes. And in a perfect world, we'd love to be in the Pac-12, and but we also have to do what's right for Colorado at the end of the day, and we'll evaluate things as we move forward.
Ooh, Rick George, the athletic director at Colorado there. And again, I don't know why people get so upset with that. We have heard so many people in the Pac-12 and Pac-12 apologists saying none of these schools are leaving. Well, you're right, not yet. None of these schools are talking to the Big 12. Every one of them. Every school we have been able to independently confirm. The only two who really haven't had deep, long-ranging conversations with the Big 12? Oregon and Washington. And you know why? Because they're having deep, long-standing conversations with the Big Ten, as is Stanford and Cal, according to our sources. So you're looking at a situation where you have Rick George, the athletic director at Colorado, standing up on camera saying, hey, we'd love to stay in the league, but we have to explore our options. And that's exactly what we told you Colorado was doing all those weeks ago, because Colorado knows that they need to make this decision before everybody goes away for the summer.
Facts.
You have to. Because, by the way, I would remind you, all of these college football programs, what did they all do now? Yesterday and today. What were they all doing? Well, they were all bringing their guys back to campus. Because this is the time of year where football teams start getting back together. They start building chemistry. They start working out together. They start playing catch together. They start lifting and squatting and running and eating and climbing hills and doing all that great stuff where we never quit and we're brothers. And that all starts this weekend. So now, really, you're in the football season. And I don't know how to break this to people. The football season started now, right? You go and look at all the major football teams in this country. This past weekend is a really important weekend for them.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially the run-up to fall ball. It's fall camp, preparation for fall camp now.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't believe that Colorado is going to wait until September 1st to make an announcement. Because what have we been telling you for a month now on this show? Our sources have told us, hey, they want to get this done before all of these highfalutin education types go take their European, vacations.
Boom. Out of here.
And they go take their summer sabbaticals where they purge their minds and they go and grow as human beings like rich people do. Darkness retreats in the holes in the ground and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what these people do. They don't necessarily care about football. But you know what they care about? They care about their time. And they care about their lives. And they're not going to answer their phone all summer long talking to their athletic directors about whether or not they're moving conferences. So when we talk about, hey, what's actually happening, I can tell you from sources that we've spoken to for months now that these universities are ready to make a decision. They know the TV number. They know their TV options. And the thing that should really scare you, if you are somebody that is a Pac-12 supporter and you are hoping that this conference lives on, something that should scare you is they all know what their options are. They know what ESPN's willing to do. They know what the CW's willing to do. They know that Amazon's not willing to do this and Apple's not willing to do that. They know what the numbers are. George Kliavkoff, The scary part is George has not been able to put together a package that gets him to $25 million, which is why he's not presented one. Because if he doesn't get to $25 million, he doesn't get 10 people to sign a grant of rights. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't know that you can save Colorado. The other thing that I heard over the weekend that was kind of scary, I don't believe they can save Colorado. I don't. I think Colorado knows right now they are an expensive item.
Yeah.
They know they can make money. They know they can go to the Big 12 and get paid. They know that Deion's bringing eyeballs to the program. Why do you think Deion is being so aggressive on Instagram, so aggressive on TikTok and YouTube? Because everybody's watching now. Speaking of going back to campus, what did Colorado do this weekend?
Yep.
Colorado moved their football players back to their dorms this weekend.
Yep.
Right? So you start seeing all this stuff, and I'm sitting here telling you, if you haven't yet, you really need a buckshot because you got to think more, you got to think more clearly. And to do that, my friends, you got to go to the official energy drink of the Monty Show. Crack them with me, baby. Have you not gotten the buckshot yet? Long-lasting, clean energy that's amazing in taste and even better in its ingredients. Cheers to you. Gone and easy too. Buckshot's amazing, you guys. Played a full weekend of golf this weekend, and I'll tell you, before we get to your comments on the Big 12, one, you need to hit the like button. But two,
Yeah.
you guys know I've been working hard to slim down, lose weight. I got on the scale this morning. After weeks and weeks of really working with Mrs. Monty and cooking at home and including my supplements, really working bucked up into my nutrition. So their greens, their collagen peptides, their proteins, their pre-workouts, their energy drinks that are 0 sugar, their buckshots that are 100 milligrams of caffeine. And I've now, in the last 5 weeks, surpassed the 15-pound loss mark. And I'm telling you, I give so much credit. I give so much credit to Bucked Up because without Bucked Up, I don't think I would have done it. I feel good. I play better golf. I work out better. I stretch better. I sleep better. I eat better. I have better mental clarity. My performance on the show, my performance, working, walking, thinking. I just feel better since I picked up Bucked Up on a daily basis across my day now. It's not just morning pre-workout. It's morning pre-workout. It's morning greens. It's buckshot in the afternoon. I'm telling you, Bucked Up's in your life. And don't take my word for it, you guys. Go to the links in our description below and get your free 6 Bucked Up buckshots for free. They want to send them right to your door for free. You know something else I've added to my arsenal when it comes to nutrition? Bucked bars. And I'm telling you, the Buck bars from Bucked Up Nutrition, spectacular. Really, really good ingredients. And the dates that are on this is why I keep showing you this graphic. Low glycemic because they sweeten their Buck bar with things like dates, natural occurring sweeteners. Because when you dump a bunch of sugar into something, it spikes your insulin. You have all these natural responses to things that you don't even think about. Don't think about it because Bucked Up does. BuckedUp.com. Use a promo code Monty. Get your free buckshots, 6 of them. Get your free bars. They give you a sampler pack. They're great. They'll send them right to your door for free. The links are in the description below. Let's get your comments in here. First one in today is Command HQ, who gives us $5. Do the advocates help you craft all the clickbait titles to avoid legal claims? Saying a prestigious school like Gonzaga to the Big 12 is defamation. Hey, man. You do you, man. I think we have been very clear about our position, and I think we have been very straightforward in our reporting.
Yeah.
We are not the ones out there who said that, hey, it's a done deal and they're signing their contract. We've never said that on this show. And again, I would just tell you, point blank with somebody like Command HQ, who, by the way, has never been here before, has never commented on the show, paid $5 to say that we're committing defamation, which means you don't understand the definition of defamation.
So can you say that like 50 times fast? I got a little confused.
Like, I don't think you understand the definition of defamation. I really don't. Like, it is hysterical to me that you're paying $5 to, I don't know, are you trying to like troll? So you paid us, you commented, you paid us to comment, you've watched the show to make sure we read your comment. All those things is telling YouTube that our show's good and more people are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Defamation, the action of damaging the good reputation of somebody, slander or libel, is the defamation definition.
So let me get this right. So we're saying that the Big 12 would like to add Gonzaga because Gonzaga is really attractive. They have this power basketball program. They've got, not to mention, again, I'm going to keep pointing this out every single time. Nobody ever talks about the strength of their other sports. And I know that they don't generate a ton of revenue, but I'm telling you right now, it's great to have success in your other sports programs. So how is it that we're, defaming, would that be the word? Defaming Gonzaga?
The act of communicating false statements about a person that injures the reputation of that person.
So help me understand how we're committing defamation by saying that the Big 12 likes Gonzaga. Gonzaga likes the Big 12. They've had really great talks. We reported March 3rd that they had a verbal invite, and now all of a sudden everyone else is piling on the train.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I appreciate, what was it, $5? Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the $5.
That.
Yeah,
what else we got?
That's amazing. That's amazing. Conundrum says, stop using a golf cart, Monty. You can do it.
Oh, no. Some courses you need to use a golf cart, bro.
Yeah, not every course are you able to walk.
Yeah.
Aaron Wilson says, McGuire could be here for life with an 8-4 average record. Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. Patrick Bourne says, Deion, who is a Dallas man who knows where the Big 12 headquarters are. Well, I mean, I think Deion's made it very clear that he wants to dominate Texas. I don't think I don't even know that that's a well-kept secret. I mean, have you seen the hat the dude rolls around in?
All hat, no cattle.
Have you seen the things that he said? Like, I mean, he absolutely is a guy that has made it very clear to me anyways, and I could be wrong, but I think he wants to be able to powerfully recruit Dallas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. He knows in the Pac-12 he can't do that. He knows he can't do that because in Dallas and in Texas in general, you're talking about the Big 12 and the SEC. That's who runs Dallas and Texas on the whole. I mean, if you're not TCU, if you're not Houston, if you're not, I mean, obviously Texas A&M, but if we're talking about the Big 12 and I think Baylor to a lesser extent, Texas Tech to a lesser extent, but if you're not one of the major brands in Texas, you're not going to win recruits.
Yeah.
Point blank. The other thing is, if mom, dad, cousin, uncle, high school friends, coaches can't watch you on TV, I think it's going to be very difficult to dominate Texas or bring in Texas talent to a place like Boulder.
Well, and think about what Deion's message to kids is. Hey, I'm Deion Sanders. I played in the league for however many years. Like, let me show you the way. But if the way is full of, hey, mom and dad, like he just said, can't watch you on TV and you can't get recruited, like, it doesn't work for Deion. So you went through this massive transfer portal window where you rolled your roster over.
Yep.
You're doing all these awesome things. You need the barriers in the walls to come down so that you can recruit your ass off so that you don't go 1-11 for the next 5 years. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see how all of this will play out with Deion.
Yeah.
Because I think it is, and again, I'm open to the idea, I could be wrong about this. I think it's going to be a very steep hill to climb for Deion in Colorado in the Big 12. I think it's very, and I think it's one of the major advantages of adding somebody like Gonzaga because, again, they bring you the Pacific time zone, but they already compete at a very high level in basketball and other sports, by the way, but they don't compete in football. So they don't have to have the drag of trying to fund a football department and win football games going into a conference like the Big 12.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are in the Pac-12. I would even say this about Utah. I think Utah could compete for a conference championship day one, but they're going to have to probably staff up, and they're going to have to talent up. They're going to have to get faster, and they're going to have to get deeper at the skill positions because it's a really difficult league to compete in. And I think you look at what Sonny Dykes did, and you look at brands like TCU, you look at K-State, Kansas, you look at the surprising brands in the Big 12 that are competing at the top of that league. I think it's very difficult. I think it's one of the most attractive things about Gonzaga is they don't have a football team.
Yeah.
If you're Gonzaga, that's a huge gift because Gonzaga, I still maintain Gonzaga can go to any league they want. I think Gonzaga is a basketball. You can't tell me that the Big Tens, the SECs, the ACCs, those conferences, I think would bend over backwards to add Gonzaga.
Yeah.
And I think a year ago, I think the Pac-12 would have been able to really compete well to add Gonzaga into the Pac-12. Well, obviously, the ecosystem's changed a little bit, right? But I think Gonzaga and the Big 12 are a really strong match. I think they're a really strong match.
Yes.
And I think Gonzaga comes in and really competes at a high level. Tom Deans gives us $5 to say, just wanted to spend $5 to say thank you guys. Have a great show.
Stop defaming us, sir. Please.
That's so funny. You spent $5 to not understand the definition of defamation. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Let's see. All right, let's go back to the top. Who was in first today? And I know we have a ton of comments. But I think we have to go back to the top because I'm pretty sure that Truck Stop Gumby was the first one in today. In fact, he was.